Hello, everybody, and hope you're having a great, wonderful day. I wanted to make a video about my experience with DCS. Over the past year and a half, I basically got DCS, I think, in February 2021 on my older PC. I now have a new PC with better specs, but basically it's been approximately a year and a half that I've had DCS, and it's been an incredible experience. Every time I get into a game, I usually spend approximately anywhere from a year and a half to 2 years just playing that, really getting into it. The last one I was into was Red Dead Redemption 2, which was fantastic. But DCS obviously is not a game. It is a military flight simulator. And it's not easy to learn. I remember all the time it took me just to even understand how to do the cold start and get the plane turned on and aligned on the catapult to launch off a carrier. The reason that I was very interested in the F-18 specifically was being a Navy jet and having that aspect of taking off an aircraft carrier and doing those sea-based operations was extremely interesting to me, versus if you look at what the Air Force does when you're taking off from a runway. There was something extremely attractive about launching from an aircraft carrier in the middle of the ocean, heading towards your target site, completing your strike and then flying back and landing back on the carrier. So that was something that was extremely interesting to me. And over the last year and a half, it's been a journey, and has given me so many countless moments of just sheer excitement, and the amount of things that I've learned about naval operations and how modern militaries conduct warfare has been extremely illuminating and a learning experience. I think that there were a couple of experiences that came to mind, and I also purchased a Oculus VR. So I was flying this jet using VR, not all the time, because if I was learning something new, I would practice it on the monitor, and then once I knew what the controls and stuff was, then I would recreate that in the VR, because it's a little hard to learn new functionality when you're wearing a VR set versus just learning it on the monitor and the keyboard. And there were a couple of incidents that really kind of stayed with me. One was when my jet was basically just spiraling down, and I was losing control, and that was the first time I used the spin recovery button, and when I was able to take control back of the jet. And it was something that I didn't practice for, and I didn't know. I was just in the cockpit trying to figure out what I could do to save myself before I ejected, and then I used that functionality basically in the middle of a spiral down, and I was able to recover the jet, which was so amazing. There was another time when I was engaged in a dogfight, and I took out the enemy aircraft, and then I looked to my right, and then there was like a SAM missile that basically clipped my wing, and then I had like the few seconds where it's like for a moment I felt like I was an actual pilot, having to make split-second decisions, and I basically ejected like maybe 1,000 feet off the ground, and was able to save myself, and I saw my jet go down and crash. But that feeling of just for a second when I felt that sheer fear and stress was just amazing, knowing that it's still a virtual environment, and so it was very cool to kind of feel that sensation. And then another memory that happened a little bit more recently was, I was doing an operation at nighttime in the Persian Gulf, and I was being assisted by another UAV drone that had an IR laser down on the target, and I was basically communicating with the drone, and then with my night vision was able to see where the IR laser was. Then I proceeded to point my FLIR pod at that target and then hit it with some GBU-12 laser guided munitions. So there have been countless experiences like that where it was like, I just go like, wow, like, for somebody who is not of a naval or military background, it's just for the average Joe to experience these things, I think is truly incredible. And it also teaches you the extreme complexities of planning these type of military operations, because there's so many players and components that go into planning out these missions. There's so much technology at play, and it was, again, very eye-opening and a learning experience for me. Overall, DCS has been just from trying to line up my jet as I'm landing on an aircraft carrier in a bad weather situation, which is called like case 3 recovery, when visibility is very low, or when you're flying in formation and you're going over enemy territory where there's SAM systems that can activate and launch missiles at you, or when you're doing low flying CAS support to ground troops. It's just been such a fabulous experience that one has to truly put in that time to understand. And I think, despite my frustrations early on with the learning curve, that experience basically allowed me to cherish what I was able to do later on because of the work that I did, versus something that in a traditional game you just click a button or something and then you can launch a missile. Obviously in the real world there's a lot more planning and things that go with it, and the simulator gives you a really good flavor of that. And when you master these controls and these functions, it is an incredible feeling. Like I always joke with my friends, like it feels like I'm actually like I could actually like fly this thing, like, and I'm sure there's probably a lot more complexities that I'm sure I wouldn't be able to do. But the point is being in that simulator or in the cockpit and making those decisions and keeping one eye on your fuel, which I realize these jets burn very fast, and then navigating through variables, could be conditions that were not expected or other situations that occur, and then making those split-second decisions, and then going back on the ship is just, again, been an extremely enlightening and learning experience, and I've really, really enjoyed my time with DCS. So my message for folks that are new to DCS is the initial days and weeks will be a little bit challenging, but there's a lot of great content online where people have posted very excellent information where you can learn how to work these aircrafts, and then deploy munitions and carry out operations. And so it is worth it. You just got to stick to it and kind of see it through. So again, I just wanted to make this video to just kind of talk about my love for DCS and the F-18 Hornet. It's been an amazing journey, year and a half has been for me, and it's been a great learning experience, and I hope you guys get to experience that, and in the VR as well, where it's very realistic. So thanks for listening, and have a great day. Thanks.